Yeah, I finally remembered and did it this year. It was fun. Had a couple hiccups at first, but finally got it to work.
Ah, good. Yeah. Yeah, those things are always fun. It's nice they keep that station going anyway. Seems like they've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah, I wish I lived closer. It's just too far of a drive for me. I wouldn't mind helping out, but unfortunately I'm just too far away.
You know, I've never been there, and I always wanted to, and it's, you know, as time gone on and things, it's just probably something I'll never get down there because I don't drive down places like that anymore, like the Bay Area, and I don't even drive down to Sacramento anymore. So it's got to that point. So, but it was something on my list some years back, but anyway. I've seen a lot of pictures and all that type of stuff of the station down there and whatnot, and all the activities and things that go on, but it's just one of those places that I should have made the effort to get there, and I didn't. Another one was Dixon, too. I never did get down to the, you know, the station there at Dixon, so anyway. I guess I'll stand by here and see who sees up. It's W6JRY.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, guys. Dave, Gary, this K0DWC. How are you this morning?
Oops, doing good here. I just got getting tuned up, and Dave's here with a big signal, and you're pounding in here too. So anyway, sounding good. So how's things over
there? Okay, I guess. It's cool right now, but it's going to get hot later. It was 100, well, they said it was 100 degrees here yesterday, and they said the real feel was 105, so I don't know about that, but it's going to be another scorcher today. I'm sure it's going to be warm over there as well. But anyway, Dave, I've got, excuse me, Dave, I've got you in the number 1 spot, and Jerry, I got you in the number 2 spot there. You guys are the only ones that I've heard so far, so if there's anybody else out there that wants to check in early, by all means, come now.
W6 SSP. And W7MS, good morning.
W6 Able, Queen, Uncle.
Okay, fellas. Well, good morning to Steve, to Mike, and to Bob. Good signals this morning. Steve, I've got you in the number 3 spot, sir. And Mike, I've got you in the number 4 spot there. And Bob in the number 5 spot, W6AQU. So I don't know if you heard the first two. I got Dave in the number 1 spot, MQI, and Jerry, JRY, in the 2 spots. So anybody else want to be an early check-in here? If we get 1 or 2 more, we'll go ahead and start the net. Be number 6. Come now. Okay, nothing heard, but all right, well, if anybody wants to go get a cup of coffee or something there, we'll wait just a minute or 2 here and see if there's anybody else, and we'll be standing by for the net here very, very shortly. This is K0DWC, net control today for the Vintage Military Radio Net. Okay, well, good morning to all again, and we'll go ahead and get the net started. Let me make one last call out here, or just one more call out here to see if there's anybody that would like to be number 6. I'll call for more people at the end of the first round, so if there's anybody that needs one more time, that's no problem. So, is there anybody else that would like to be check in, be number 6, Vintage Military Radio Net? Come now.
Whiskey 6 Alpha, Whiskey Oscar.
Oh, there's Richard. Well, good morning, Richard. Good signal. I've got you in the number 6 spot, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to check in? Be number 7 for the Vintage Military Radio Net. Come now.
WA7 YBS.
Wow, you scared me there for a minute. I heard a big carrier and no audio. Good morning, Henry. Man, you're shaking the dust off the windowsill. Good morning, sir. I got you in the number 7 spot, Henry. Nice signal. Anybody else want to join in and be number 8? Early check-in? Well, check-in, number 8, come now. Okay. All right, nothing heard there. So, well, good morning, gentlemen. Hopefully it'll be a decent enough morning. We can get our net done to here in a little bit, but it's about 10 after 7, so that's probably a good time to start. Let me give the rundown as I've got it. In the number 1 spot, I've got Dave, W6MQI. In the number 2 spot is Jerry, W6JRY. In the number 3 spot is Steve, W6SSP. In the number 4 spot is Mike, W7MS. In the number 5 spot is Bob, W6AQU. In the 6th spot is Richard, W6AWO. And in the number 7 spot is Henry, WA7YBS. And that's the rundown as I have it now. I'll make one more quick check to see if somebody wants to be number 8. Come now. Okay. Well, the Vintage Military Radio Net is a roundtable AM net that provides an opportunity for licensed hams to operate their vintage military radio gear on the air. Military gear is encouraged, but certainly not required, and check-ins will be given a number that can be used in the handoff, which we've done. So I'll call for check-ins at the end of each roundtable session. If anyone has anything for sale or has a want, please mention it during your turn in the roundtable session. So, this is Chuck, K0DWC, and I'll be your net control this morning, running the ART-13, courtesy of W4DVQ, and listening on a Teledyne R390A 1962 contract, 200 watts inverted V, D104 microphone. So that's my rundown. So with that, we will go ahead and go to the top, over to Livermore, W6MQI in the group, K0DWC. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, K0DWC, W6MQI. All righty, Chuck. Thanks for taking the net today. And this is Dave in Livermore. And we're on the ART-13 as well, listening on a 75A4 receiver. And nice weather today. It looks like it's going to be a little cooler. It's 70 degrees now. I think we were around 100 or so yesterday. But it's supposed to be a little cooling down for the rest of the week, which is going to be nice. Well, I hope everybody warmed up their Enigma machine yesterday for the KPH crypto broadcast. I did. and sent off my decoded message yesterday. So that was fun, and hope to do it again next year. I've never done it before. But anyway, over to Jerry, W6JRY, W6MQI.
Okay, very good, Dave. W6MQI and the group W6JRY. Good morning to everybody. Good signals, nice strong signals from everybody. Henry seems even stronger than normal. I wonder if you got maybe that new to you transmitter on the air there, and the audio chain working and so on. Anyway, pretty strong. 104 yesterday here, peak, and expect the same thing again here today. Been miserable trying to do anything outside, so we've been trying to do it in the morning. And goings on during the week here. Henry, thanks for the drawing that you sent over. That helped. Got the Western Auto Radio squared away, working just fine. The problem ended up being a wiring problem. Apparently, it looked like somebody had modified the mixer circuit for some type of another tube, and ended up what it kind of did was reverse one of the oscillator winding coils. And that's kind of something I've had in the problems building regens and whatnot. You get a reversal on one of your coils there, and you're dead in the water type thing. But anyway, that up and working and delivered to my son who wanted it, and that project is out of the way. I've also been noticing a lot of activity out of Ron, spots on the spotting network for GX stations. I haven't heard him. I haven't been around, but one of the problems I have here, especially during the daytime and early evening, is really a lot of high static noise level, atmospheric noise level here. But it seems like most of the stations he's working is European and around the area where he's at, and the East Coast. Maybe he has worked out here on the West Coast, I don't know, but I haven't been around for the time that propagation would be right for him. Setup here is the same old stuff here, 100 watts out of the ATD ALT13, RBM4 receiver, and a Delta antenna. So, Steve, over to you. W6SSP in the group, W6GRY.
Okay, thank you, Jerry. Well, you're booming in here. Everybody is. All good conditions today, which is nice for a change. Well, I tell you, it was blazing hot yesterday. I don't know what the high temperature was, but it was the hottest of the season by quite a bit. It was impossible to work outside at all. But during the morning, I went to the CHRS boneyard sale, and unlike the last 2 years, came home with some pretty neat treasures. And one I'd like to describe to you guys. Maybe you guys can give me a hint as to what this thing actually is. It's a 1930s transmitter. I believe it was a kit, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Description of it is it's a tabletop open rack panel kit, panel embossing arrangement. Everything is steel on it. It's 14 inches wide by 18 inches high, so it's not standard 19-inch rack panels. It's quite a bit smaller. 5 meters on it, and the bottom panel is power supply, a couple of big transformers, a pair of 866s and an 80 tube. Like I think I mentioned, the final is a Raytheon RK-20A tube. One other tube is a Type 53. Another tube is missing. It's a CW only set with room for one crystal. One of the plug-in coils says 20-meter doubler. So apparently this is a three-stage set. Crystal oscillator tube, doubler, buffer, and the RK20 PA. Anyway, it's in kind of rough shape. It's missing a few parts, but nothing that can't be found in the junk box here. And another thing I wanted to mention is that I don't think it's homebrewed because all the steel panels and chassis are stamped. There are a few drill holes that were probably made, modifications that were made over the years, but everything else is stamped very, very clean. So I think it's a kit. And I've looked up the usual suspects, which are Thordison, Millen, Utah, and Lafayette. And none of them match. So I wonder if anybody knows of any other manufacturers that made a kit of this sort, probably on the West Coast. Anyway, let's not worry about that too long. So I'll send it over to Mike. W7MS, W6 SSP.
Well, thank you, Steve. W6SSP, W7MS, Mike in Reno. Good reception from all up to this point. Some nuances of QSB, but not to be unexpected, but Q5 on all. And where's Bill? N6BCT. We miss Bill. But yeah, anticipating Henry's debut, rollout of the Transmitter X. And I had the same reaction from as Net Control. Yeah, that great carrier. Where's the audio? So a little glad to hear the audio, Henry. But this morning running, well, I rotated in the Johnson Disc kilowatt, so that's the 75A1 receiver, 32V3 transmitter providing audio excitation to the A10s and RF excitation to the 4400s. And let's see if we can throw an RF switch today, because that's my major concern when I'm operating this guy. But so far so good, no smoke, no wham bam. But not much going on here. Won't discuss the weather because I'll take this over January and December any day. Life is good. So with that, over to Bob. Up to Bob, W6AQU, W7MS. Very good. Thanks, Mike. W7MS. This is W6 Able Queen Uncle up here in the northern border. Good morning to all. All stations are exceptionally strong this morning. We're using a 2 half waves in phase into a 388 for receiving. Transmitter's a T3, and antenna on that, I believe, is looking over there at the panel. It looks like I'm feeding a 75-meter half wave on the tower to another tower. So that's about the story here. 80 degrees already on the first cup of coffee. So, to the next station. And I didn't write down anything, so it must be back to Chuck. If not, put it the way it goes. This is W6 Able Queen Uncle.
Well, hello, Bob. I think it's me that's next. Let's see if that's right. Here's to be. W6AQU in the esteemed group, Whiskey 6 Alpha Whiskey Oscar. High atop Inverness Ridge overlooking the Pacific and Mount Town where it is cool. I don't mean to brag, but it, sometimes within the last day or two, we've been 0-0 in the marine layer up here. Today is not that, but it so far is starting off nice and cool. And yes, the crypto message from KPH yesterday, preliminary reports, the overnights seem to show that it was successful. I think we've gotten as many as 50 reports already on that. And the guys did not accept my suggestion that the message should be, remember to drink your Ovaltine. but they went with something probably a lot better than that. And I think that the organizer who is working on that and putting it all together is talking about multiple events per year. So maybe two, maybe a couple more. So we'll be making the usual announcements on that. And Steve, thanks for the CHRS report. I was really wondering about that. Sounds like you made an excellent snag. I would love to see a photo or multiple photos of what you got, and I wonder if the RK20A was actually with it. That would be interesting to me. And Dave, your elbow weight here, top dog pipeline. But everybody's signal is good. It came up considerably since the pre-check-in. So let's see. We're riding a roller coaster here. Let's see how it goes. Over to you, Henry. WA7YBS, W6AWO.
Okay. W6AWO, WA7YBS. Okay. Well, good signals from everybody. Steve was the lightest, W6SSP, and but Q5 copy. So everybody else is doing really well, and Mike is like incredibly strong. Full quieting from Mike. So anyway, we are transmitting on the W6MIT Big Rig, and that is a 4-250A. Modulated by a pair of 572Bs, 2,000 volts on the plate, 1,500 volts on the modulator plates, and putting out 300 watts of carrier power. And yes, it does have an external audio chain. The external audio chain is a Bogan CT100C public address amplifier. And that drives the high power modulator directly. And the microphone, because I had to use the Bogan, which is a low impedance input type of deal there, I'm using an RCA BK1A dynamic microphone, and it's kind of like a combination of public address, semi-broadcast type microphone. Looks like a upside down champagne glass, or a champagne glass that's about to fall over, or an ice cream cone. But it dates from about the 1950s. So anyway, it has pretty good specs. Don't know how it sounds, but hey, it's a dynamic mic. In combination with the Big Rig, I also have a new antenna, and that's the antenna for the shop. It is a 130-foot center-fed dipole, 44 feet of open feed line, going to the Nye Viking tuner, and so double whammy, new transmitter and new antenna. So, the old collinear array is still up. That's the antenna for the house, but we're out here in the shop. So the shop antenna is now the 130-foot dipole. Receiver is a Raycal. It is the RA6117. That's the American equivalent of the RA117. Built in Silver Springs, Maryland, or Silver Spring, singular, not plural, Silver Spring, Maryland, 1966. So, anyway, that's the setup here. Back to Chuck, K0DWCWA7, YBS. All right, Henry. Well, all I can say, Henry, is hearty congratulations on all of that. Getting the antenna up in this damn heat, and getting that Big Rig going. It sounds incredible to me. And that microphone, it's different sounding, but it's different sounding in the coolest way in the world, as far as I'm concerned. It really sounds good. I think you ought to make that a regular part of that station. So the Big Rig's sounding great, 300 watts. Great job all the way around. So hopefully you'll get years of enjoyment out of that. Alrighty, let's see. Let's see if there's anybody wants to jump in on the tail end here and be number 8 to the tail end of the first round. Vintage Military Radio Net, come now.
This is M6 Bravo, Colonel Bravo. M6 Bravo, Colonel Bravo.
Okay, Bill, I got you there, buddy. I got you in the 8th spot there. Stand by for just a minute. Let me see if there's anybody else who wants to check in. And be number 9. Come now. Okay, Bill. N6 BCT, go ahead and take it and send it back up to me, K0 DWC. So N6 Bravo Charlie Tango, K0 DWC. Go ahead, Bill.
Yes, good morning, man. Bravo Charlie Tango, I'm just taking the audio up. Anyway, I'm using the continuous XL this morning. It's not helpful because I've really done this really. And let's just say this. Otherwise, I haven't happened since my cell phone and stuff like that. And it's clear that everything is just hitting something already. So I'm going to do the post office to get my mail. And the mail stuff too. That's the third one. So I don't know when that's going to take place. Maybe sometime in November. I don't know. Anyway, that's the third. So BWC and David Tango.
Okay, Bill, very good. All right, you were 100% copy that time. I had to dig you out, but I mean, you were 100% copy. So, good job. Glad you're here this morning. Okay, just real quick. Anybody else want to be on the tail end of the first round? Come now, please. Okay, nothing. All right. Well, good round one, fellas. Let's see. Dave's pounding in. Gary's pounding in. Steve's Q5. A little bit of QSB. Mike's really strong. No problems there. Bob, no problem. Q5 copy. Richard, no problem. A little bit of QSB on Richard, like Steve, but I mean it's negligible. Henry, rocking the dust off the windowsill, and Bill, Q5 copy. So that's good report on my end anyway. And Dave, congratulations on the crypto message with KPH there. That's pretty cool. I'd never heard of that before, but that's something different, and it sounds like it's something fun too. So, okay. Well, let's go ahead and go back up to the top, and we'll start the second round and go to Dave, W6MQI in the group, K0 DWC.
The K6VXY checking in late.
Okay, stand by a second, Dave. K6VXY Vern, I've got you in the number 9 spot. You want to go ahead and make a transmission and send it back up to me, K0 DWC? Go ahead, Vern.
Okay, make it a brief transmission. Let's see. Wait. There, that's better. And turn on the linear. This K6VXY, a lot of news, and I'll make it very brief. I'll talk the next time. Somehow I hit the lock key on my radio, and I couldn't find it. I had to get the manual out and look for it. I'm sorry. This K6VXY burn, new antenna set up, much higher. A lot of work been done here in the last week in the yard, and then with my antenna. So I'm higher, and I'm pointed more at you guys. So I was curious how the signals will be. So far, they were pretty good. And I heard you so far. I'm sorry I'm late. I fell asleep again and slept too long. K0 DWC, K6VXY, back to net.
Okay, Brian, K6VXY, K0 DWC. Well, that's okay. I've fallen asleep too before doing silly stuff like that too. But Congratulations on the new antenna, and you got a very nice signal here in Dayton at my QTH. So you're sounding good this morning, Vern. Good job, great job. Okay, all right. My apologies, Dave. W6MQI in the group K0DWC. Go ahead there, bud.
Sorry to check. Yeah, no problem, no problem. And good morning to Vern, Bill, and Henry. And Henry, your rig is sounding good down here in Livermore. You're almost a solid 40 dB over around about 75-84 meters, so sounding good. And yeah, all stations are sounding good here. Not Bill, but Bob, you're a little on the weak side. Everybody's pretty much equal, except for Richard. You're slamming in down in Livermore. You're kind of just looking down on me, so you're pretty loud. And yeah, the crypto message, that was fun, and it'd be pretty cool if they did more of them. I think that'd be a good idea. So I spent last week trying to figure out how to even program the Enigma. Of course, I don't have one personally, but I use a piece of software called Crypto Tool, and works real well as long as you program it right. But it took me a couple times to get it right. And good thing KPH sends it twice, because the first time I had one of the 5-letter groups only had 4 letters. And the next group that I copied, I was able to fill that in, so we're good. And but the first time I tried to decode it, I used the wrong date. And then the second time, there's an identification group that you're not supposed to load into the machine as the message to be decrypted, and I did that, and all I got was gobbledygook. But once I removed that, it all came through. But it worked good, man. I'm not going to announce what the decoded message is. You guys need to have a Sigma level or CR clearance before I'll say something like that. So it's all top secret. And let's see, what else? Been playing with my PRC 515. That's been fun. Found out that the volume control on the front panel also changes the mic volume. I didn't know that. And I was looking in the mail and I was like, well, it doesn't really say that, but okay, whatever. So, figured that out, and I had a extra HT50 handset, and I plugged that into it. It works. A little down on the audio. I'm only getting a little over a microvolt on my microphone, so playing around with it with a little preamp, and then I really boosted it. So I need to put that all in a box so I can use the H250 handset with the PRC 515. I almost like the H250 handset better than the other one that came with it. Was it H5017 or something like that? I can't remember right offhand what the serial number is on that. But anyway, all's working good there. And no other projects. Finally. Harvested all my corn. I had 56 ears, and I'd say 48 of them were good. The other ones were just a little too small, or I got infested with little bugs and things. We have a lot of earwigs around here, so they get in there. But got lots of good corn. Been eating that. And my daughter's back from Europe, so all is good. So over to, let's see, Jerry, W6JRY, W6MQI.
Oh, okay. Fine, Dave. W6MQI in the group, W6JRY. Good morning to Bill there and Vern. Coming in okay here. Copy here up in Forest Ranch. And good on all. Henry, yeah, I kind of suspected when I heard the carrier, he was coming up on the W6MIT radio. That's about, I think, as strong as I ever heard you. Although I know at times you have the T368 to put on, and even one of the Viking KWs, but at 300 watts. But 300 watts seems to do a good job. And audio sounds great here too. So good on that. And okay on Richard there with the KPH stuff. I caught the thing about drink your Ovaltine, and I kind of I remember that every Christmas I watch the movie The Christmas Story, where they do the decoding on the Little Orphan Annie decoder, and that's the message. Don't be sure and drink your Ovaltine. That's something that that's kind of a standard thing here. I watch that movie every year around Christmas time, so that's great. Remember having those decoders in the past. I wish I still had the one, and various other ones they put out like that. In fact, the South used similar type decoders like that for decoding messages, and I have a replica of one here. Confederate Army used something similar to that, and I've obtained kind of a replica of the same type of decoder that they use for messages of that nature. Incidentally, talking about Enigma machines and decoding and so on, number one, watched a great movie last night. They did a good job on it, and it was on Netflix, called Operation Mincemeat. And it's about, maybe most of you have heard about it, earlier in years past, they come out with a movie on the same thing. It was where they, MI6 found they set up a whole fake thing with a body they picked out of the morgue and set up a deal there where they dropped a body off the coast of Spain and so on. Had to do with the invasion of Sicily during World War II. A lot of crypto messages going back and forth involving that story. But they were very accurate with it. And one thing I like about when they do movies like that, they'll have credits at the end of the movie telling what happened, become of the people that were involved with that. And this was a British movie, a make of that particular operation. But anyway, it's on Netflix right now, and it's called Operation Mincemeat. That was the code name they give to that operation. Let's see, what else here? Steve, great on your find there. About a 1930s transmitter. Sounds very familiar to a lot of things I've seen. Some things I've built way back, and yes, they were. I remember some of the kits that came out in the 30s and 40s there that Transformer Company, I think you mentioned Utah and so on about that. And seen a number of things like that, had things, built things similar to what you're talking about there, Steve, so very good on that. Bob, good morning to you. You're coming in okay up here at Forest Ranch, and okay on, I think you're on the T368 there today. And, well, I guess that's enough out of me for now, and I'll get it over to you, Steve. W6SSP in the group, W6JLY.
Okay, Jerry. Thank you very much. And hey, thanks for the tip on Operation Mincemeat. I have not seen that, so that's something to look forward to. I'll definitely try to bring that up. And I've been reading the, let me see. Yeah, things are okay here. I've been reading the Secret Wireless War slowly, and of course it talks about Enigma quite a bit. So pretty neat that KPH is on the air, sending that out, and Dave is decoding it. And I'm not cleared for the message, so I guess I'll just have to press on that for now. And Richard, yes, the RK-20A survived. Amazing. In fact, all the tubes survived. One was missing, but that's okay. I'm on transmitter, so that'll be a fun project to get that thing going. I'd still like to figure out who made it. Was it, I don't know. Project going on in the past week and a half or so is, as I mentioned in the past, I've been playing around with these little QRP FDI transceivers. Kind of having a blast with them. They're pretty neat. I'm actually getting on CW more than I have in many, many years with this thing. And I'm not making any contacts with 3 watts, but still. So anyway, about a week and a half ago I decided, well, it'd be kind of neat to make a tube-type equivalent using, guess what? The regenerative receiver, of course. So I got that built, and the difference between this one and other things that I built, like Parasets, is I'm planning to use the regenerative detector in the receiver as the VFO for the transmitter. I don't know how well that's going to work. I expect there's going to be some kind of an offset, but of course I'll be applying more plate voltage to the regenerative detector to use that as a oscillator for the transmitter, but we'll see how it works. I've got a lot more work to do. Receiver is done. It works very, very well. So I'll continue on with that. I wanted to mention a couple of other things I picked up at the CHRS yesterday. One of them was kind of a mystery radio to me. I've been collecting 1920s battery sets since 1975, so I have a lot of them here. And there were a lot of battery sets there yesterday. A lot of outright cats for those that like those. I already had most of them, so I didn't buy any of those, but I came across one that was big and beautiful and used 9 tubes. And I thought it was a 3-dialer because it has 3 dials on it. I bought it at the last minute, just in a moment of weakness, not needing another TRF set. But doing a little bit of research on it this morning, I discovered it's a 1925 superhet, a very early superhet. I think it's made in Germany, no less. This thing is beautiful. It's gorgeous. If you guys want to look it up, there's only one picture on the net, but very, very little information about it. It's called a Novadyne Model 59. There's a nice picture on the net of it, and it's a pretty cool radio. One other thing I picked up at the CHRS meet yesterday was it was off in the corner. It wasn't really part of the sale, but a huge, I mean, this thing is massive, antenna tuning network, and I think it's more than that actually. It's fairly recent. It's not military, and it's all aluminum, and it's just full of large Johnson variable caps, the ribbon wound coils and things like that. I bought it really for parts, but I think it's either medium frequency or low frequency, just looking at the components inside. And it was one of those things that they would probably throw away, so I ended up buying it. And to give you an idea of the size, it's probably about 2 feet on one side, 18 inches on the other side, and about 10-12 inches deep. Four parts. So I got to research that a little bit more. And I bought a few other things at the sale, but nothing of interest for this group. So anyway, let's pass it on while conditions are still good. Over to Mike. W7MS, W6SSP.
Well, thanks, Steve. W6SSP, W7MS. Good reception from all, and good morning to Bill and Vern. Good signals into Reno, at least for the moment. Hello. Yeah, okay. But, we'll start with Steve. Last first, don't forget, congratulations on the satisfaction of attending the Chris meet and coming home with a lot of booty, because, as you had mentioned, your last few visits had been disappointing from a acquisition standpoint, but positively put, because you had good social interaction with some of the usual suspects. But great to hear you. And Henry sounded fantastic. I would concur with Net Control with Chuck that microphone's a good match. Sounds really nice and radio. So congratulations on the twofer, the new to you, back on the air, MIT big rig in the restored antenna situation there for the shop. Sounded really well. And be sure to drink your Ovaltine. Yeah, Richard and Jerry, I was thinking the same thing as Dave was discussing the Enigma decode. So, yeah, A Christmas Story rolls on, and of course the author of that was an amateur radio operator. So, and of course the well-known personality there in the New York City area, as probably Richard could very much elaborate on that one. But let me see here. Well, other comments? Garden, great corn harvest there. PRC 515 from Dave, and the miracle of decoding software. So you were able to, you didn't have to dry beach a German submarine to obtain an example of the Enigma machine to help with the folks there in Bletchley Park. But let me see. Well, I was curious, Dave. You can elaborate on that slow mark and space interference that you had put up on the interweb, because the only comments I saw were mostly in dull-witted sarcasm, which led me, I think, to drop at least one of those email servers, because I realized it was of no assistance to anyone, so it was a waste of my read. So, wonder if you had some private emails that maybe really actually provided some information. But the slow data rate was interesting. It was probably certainly even below novice entry level. And let me see, that'll be interesting on Steve's comments there, to use the regen as the RF excitation for the transmitter side. That'll be an interesting experiment, especially if you can achieve a T9 out of that. That would be something else. And if it isn't a T9, there are plenty of folks out there in CW land will be glad to criticize your whoops and yips when you're keen. But time will tell. And great to hear, Bob. Good signal from Montague. And everybody's just cooking along, and not much project-wise here. Been doing other things because it's summertime. It's summertime in the city. So with that, over to you, Bob. W6AQU, W7MS.
Very good. Thanks, Mike. W7MS. And the Sunday morning vintage military net. W6A Bullqueen Uncle, up here 8 miles from the border. The Klamath River comes through, and they're removed the first dam. There's 4 dams up there, up the road from us about 8-9 miles. So they're going to take all the dams out. All kinds of protests. The Indians and the fish and stuff like that. Anyhow, we started on 80 degrees and it's climbing. This antenna that I'm using this morning apparently is working better. MQI. Dave, you're the strongest here. And next is Jerry. And off to the side is SST down there. You're very strong, and of course, Mike, you're about 10-15 over. Your audio is, I don't think, matching the carrier. Maybe you're speaking softly. Richard, good morning to you over there. AW. Oh, I messed up your on that NAS turnaround. Henry, you're coming in great this morning. And I was copying Bill better than I've ever copied. It's just surprising after looking at your QTH and how you can get a signal out of those canyons. And Byrne, good morning to you. Loud and clear. Oh, that's about it from here. We're just about done with this first cup of coffee. So up there to about Point Reyes area. Richard, AWO, it's your turn. Go ahead. This is W6, Abel, Queen Uncle.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. W6AQU and the group W6AWO. Yes, indeed. Well, the last time, the first time we did that crypto message thing was with M209, which I actually have one of those. That's about as high up the sophistication and expense ladder as I can get. But I'm very happy that mine is complete with the message blanks and case and all the accessories. And that was a transmission to the Military Radio Collectors Group down in San Luis Obispo, if I remember correctly. We did that. So the event just passed. It was kind of based on that memory and the success of that. And yeah, absolutely, Mike. I was definitely, being a Long Island boy, definitely a listener to Shep every night under the covers on WOR. 50 kilowatts out of Carteret, New Jersey. That was a crazy station. It was very suave and sophisticated, but had some of the most nutty things on it, including Long John Neville and, of course, Shep, who wasn't nutty, but the best storyteller that ever lived, in my opinion. Things are still holding up, but you never know. The bottom could drop out any time, so let's pass it on down the line. WA7YBS, W6AWO.
Okay. W6AWO, WA7YBS. Okay, good copy on everybody. And thanks for the comments on the W6MIT Big Rig. Yeah, it's just an incredibly built and incredibly designed transmitter. It's been a real pleasure going through it. Of course, there was the documentation was nothing like the little 1625 rig. The 1625 rig had like a professional manual with it. This was all John's notes and specs and a few schematics and stuff, but it was enough. It had everything that was important was in the manual that came with it. It was a binder of a bunch of stuff, and of course originally there was 3 binders with this transmitter, but over the time that when it left Rescue, California, and got to Sparks, Nevada, a lot of things disappeared. So anyway, it's the first transmitter that I've had that can produce 300 watts, and I can watch the tube. I can watch the 4-250A. It's a little like a dull red right now, but I think that's pretty normal for the 4-250A. And so anyway, yeah, I can watch the PA, and I can also watch the modulator tubes, the 572Bs. So anyway, thanks for the comments, and this microphone, the RCA-BK1A, it's the ugliest microphone I got, but in all my testing for low impedance mic, it was the best sounding. And of course, the one more little elaboration is the Bogan that I'm using to drive the audio. The Bogan PA has a built-in compression, which is adjustable, and I have it just cracked on a little bit, maybe 10 dB or so. And then it has a built-in 10-band equalizer, and so I'm kind of enhancing the mid-range here on this microphone. And so anyway, that's a little elaboration on that. Gary, on the Western Air Patrol, would you believe that in the writer's manual that Western Auto is, of course, one company, and their brand name was True Tone. And Western Air Patrol was the name of the company, apparently. That's what it's listed as in, in riders. So I guess that is the Western Air Patrol radio. So interesting. Yeah, when they get the wires crossed, and I had an audio circuit that had the interstage transformer crossed like that, and it oscillated really good, but interesting. But Steve, I don't know if you mentioned Gross. Gross was a company in the 30s that built transmitters and kits and stuff. Made really sharp-looking transmitters. They never survived World War II, and I think they were in New York. I'm not sure, but I think they were. I have a Gross. It does sound kind of funny, but I have a Gross transmitter, and it's a little 5-meter portable transmitter from probably about 1938 or so. Runs on a dynamotor, and so anyway, I am familiar a little bit with the Gross approach of doing transmitters. And let's see what else. Good on the Enigma and decoding and all of that stuff from KPH, and using the computer programs, which is probably a good thing. Bill, good morning to you. Good signal up here into Dayton. And Vern, K6VXY, also, who has some news about an antenna that is higher and better. So with that, let's shoot it down there to Bill N6BCT WA7 YBS.
Go ahead, Vern. Bill passed it over to you. K6VXY.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I thought he did. I wasn't sure. I didn't want to jump in there. A little weak. Signals are better with the antenna higher. This K6VXY for ID. Groveland, California, running the trusty SB200, driven by an ICOM 7200, which is now not in the lock mode. I like to go off frequency and tune up to make sure all is well. And when I found the dial wouldn't move, I got a little scared, but I got it fixed. And yeah, we had annually here, they have us do a cleanup. And Pine Mountain Lake, which is right next to Groveland. I think Mike has mentioned he's familiar with that area. And out here on Crest 2 Spaced Haven Drive. And they had to take a few trees down. One of them had gone hollow, had gone bad, was threatening the house. It was about 40 feet high. And so they got that thing gone out of here. And then there was a few smaller trees that were leaning right over it from the front and the back. They had a guy in this platform, which was very entertaining. You've probably seen him. It's sort of like an extension out of a large truck. And he's in this little looks like a bottom half of a phone booth, and out there with a chainsaw, just trimming things. And he trimmed the trees quite a bit that were threatening the power to the house. They hadn't fallen yet, but PG&E and the homeowners association doesn't like the fact that there's trees hanging right over your power line. And they did a lot of work there. And then there was two guys that volunteered with him. One of them was a tree climber. He was getting rid of what they call those widowmakers, a bunch of branches that blow up in the back side of the lot that I couldn't see that were cracked because of that snowfall last winter. So that was a lot. He was up there with a chainsaw, like there was nothing to it. And then him and his friend volunteered to shoot a line over the big tree. I've always wanted to get a line over. I'd mentioned it and says, "Oh, we can do that for you." They had a 4-foot long slingshot, and they did 3 attempts before they were happy with the line, because they wanted strong enough that someone, if they attached a stronger line to it, could climb up the tree with it. Anyhow, it's up about, I don't know for sure, I'm guessing about 60 feet or more. And I'm not all the way up with it with my antenna at that end. It's at least 50 feet. I'm keeping it away from the end for now because of, I'm not quite sure what the situation is at the end of your antenna, but I know it can be kind of bad for, you don't want it too into the tree because it could catch a fire. Maybe not. May get some advice on that. Anyhow, what's that noise? I think my fan is making a... The air fan for the linear is making a bit of a noise, so I better keep it short. Anyhow, they got a line over it, and I'm using that. And they did a lot of trimming out front. And then the guys came yesterday to do the leaves had been gathering for several years. And they quit work, and they'll be back again either late today or tomorrow to finish up. So it's getting kind of spiffy out there. But your signals are good. A couple of you guys, Dave, of course, in Livermore, and then Mike here in Reno, hit the 20 over mark. I haven't seen that for a while. And considering the conditions with the noise level running about an F7 now, that's pretty good. I'm going to keep it short because I don't think the fan likes doing what it's doing. Just a second. I'm going to go to low power just for now. Let's see. This is low power. It's pretty weak. Then I'll turn it back to Dave. And anyhow, there's a lot of work going on here, and there'll be more continuing. W6MQI K6VXY.
Okay, Vern. K6VXY, K0DWC. Okay, well, there was very, very little difference between high and low power. Your signal sounded the same here to me. No problems at all. Cutting through pretty good. So that new antenna's doing a good job for you. Okay, just a couple of quick notes here. Jerry, yeah, that movie Operation Mincemeat, that English movie, that's an excellent movie, and I think the people that did that, they did a great job. It was, I think, well thought out, and it was pretty accurate. Most of the small details were there, and for me anyway, that made it just that much more interesting. But yeah, I agree with you. That's an excellent movie. I've seen it on. I saw it on Turner Classic quite a few years back. But if I had a chance to see it again, I'd watch it for sure. But great movie. And Dave, I forgot to congratulate you on getting the PRC 515. You're only the second one I know that's got one. I know Tom's got one, W6TOM, and he's checked into our net with that. And I'm thinking, maybe when the conditions get better, you can check in here with that PRC 515. That'd be pretty cool. But I was just curious, on your 515, does that have the analog tuning head or the digital tuning head on it? I know that the digital one's a little bit later model, but I was just curious as to which one of those you had there. Anyway, okay, let's go ahead and do the 7-3 round. We're doing pretty good. It's only a little after 8 o'clock. By about 8:30 or so, the band's probably going to be pretty much wasted. But let's go ahead and do a quick 7-3 round, guys, and then we'll close her down. So W6MQI in the group K0DWC 7-3 round, guys. Go ahead, Dave.
K0DWC W6MQI. Well, the band has completely dropped out for me, and I think maybe the local wash machine may have come online. Boy, I've got a buzz that has just come on, so I'm going to say 73, and everybody take care. See you guys next week. Over to Jerry, W6JRY, W6MQI, 73, everybody.
Okay, Dave. W6MQI and a group W6JRY. Well, still everybody being copied here. QSB is starting to come in, that's for sure, but we're still doing okay as far as getting everybody copied on this end here. One thing I wanted to mention, as far as the Enigma thing goes, a little bit more about, I was going to mention down at Fort Huachuca in southern Arizona, they have 3 museums in that Army base down there. It's one of the oldest around. They have the early cavalry during the Indian Wars and so on like that, and it's an intelligence base down there too, and they have 2 Enigma machines in there, plus a lot of other clandestine radio equipment. It's a very interesting place to go. You just have to stop and sign in at the base, but they actually have 3 different levels of museums depending on the era of what the Army was doing down there. They did a lot of signaling down there with heliograph equipment in Arizona during the Indian Wars with the Apaches and so on down there. A lot of interesting history about that. Also, there is a crypto museum site that you can go to where they have the clandestine equipment, radio sets all over the world and so on. It's a very interesting place to see. And Henry, you mentioned gross transmitters and receivers and so on. I had one of the receivers. It was a 3-tube. It was similar to an SW3 receiver. It was a nice receiver. Actually, I got it in a trade from somebody you know. It's Norman Breathwaite, who was into old radios. He lived up in Reading. And he brought that down and swapped it to me for some Western Electric tubes. And I had it for a while, checked it out. It worked similarly to a 3-tube SW3. I think the tube lineup might have been pretty much the same. Plug-in coils and so on. But there was an ad in electric radio from somebody back in New Jersey, I think. He had the transmitter and he was looking for the receiver. So I contacted him, and I told him I had the receiver, and he wanted it in the worst way. So that's how I got my brand new 817 portable radio. I told him I was looking for one of those, and he said he'd look around for one, and he couldn't find one, so he sent me a new one, and he got the gross receiver. So that's my story on gross equipment there. And I guess, anyway, Steve, if you're copying, I looked up in an old Burstein Appleby 1938 catalog here, and it shows a picture of a kit in there. There's a lot of that stuff, and especially out here on the West Coast, there's a lot of it going on too. There's a radio here that looks a little similar. It's called a Jones Silver 50-watt CW transmitter. It uses an RK25 in it. The picture of it. But yeah, Bursting Appleby was quite an interesting outfit. And when I first got started, I used to get a lot of my parts and things back in the late 40s, 50s, and 60s from Bursting Appleby, but I have a 1938 catalog here. It's got a lot of stuff in it. Anyway, that's enough out of me. Time's a wasting, and say good day. I'll listen around here, but I'll say the 73s to everybody on the net, and hope to see you all next weekend there. So if you're copying Steve with the QSB starting, back to you there, and we'll be listening out. 73 stall, W6SSP in the group, W6JLY.
Okay, Jerry, very good. Yeah, still a good copy on you, but quite a bit of QSB coming in, which is typical for this time of the day. Yeah, very good on the tip on Bernstein Appleby. I remember them very well. I used to order tubes from them almost exclusively. They were a great supplier of parts and tubes and things. I think they were in New York City. And speaking of New York City, Richard, I remember listening to WLS, WOWO, WOWO, and many, many others. In my younger years, before I discovered ham radio, I was sort of a shortwave DXer, at least in my mind anyway. That was a heck of a lot of fun and good times for sure. Anyway, conditions are fading, so I think I'll say 73, and we'll turn it over to Mike. I'll listen out for a while, but see you all next weekend. W7MS, W6SSP.
Well, thank you, Steve. And hello. I'll turn the audio up a little bit for Bob there. Yeah, I noticed I didn't see any tail on the negative side, but on the other hand, hell, I hate to turn it up too high and have that the worst of worst happen on negative peaks. But W7MS, it's still good Q5 from all, but things are fading. And a few comments here. Sorry, Dave had to drop off, but yeah, for you, Chuck, that PRC 515 digital head, they're actually both digital. One's a BCD switch arrangement. Is an aftermarket item manufactured there in Serbia through the amateur that deals with PRC 515. So it's not a Collins product, but they did a great job. And looking at the front there and the way it's laid out, you would think it's possibly a Rockwell Collins product, but no, it's not. It's aftermarket. And correction, Bursting Appleby is in Kansas City. I used to do business with them because I liked the back of the catalog with all the bargain-priced goodies as a kid. And just a side note, in the movie In Cold Blood, of course, based on the Truman Capote novel, there's a location shot in downtown Kansas City where the background building has a huge Bursting Appleby signboard painted on the side of the high-rise building, which whenever I watch the movie is always one of my highlights is to see the Bursting Appleby signboard up on the side of the high-rise there in downtown Kansas City. So that's the setup there. Great Henry. I was chuckling. You promoted yourself into the world of compressors and equalization. Wow. Welcome to the ship. Hard to believe, but I guess out of necessity. And you've got you've got the PA amplifier with all those accoutrements. So good job. But the audio sounding great. And it may be ugly, but we get to hear the results, and it sounds great on the receiver, and you have to look at the microphone. So life is a compromise. So with that, we'll just say 7.3s. It's been fun, and it's always a hoot, but the warm is heating up the room. Not the warm, but the room is heating up here with all this stuff on, so it's time to shut it off and assume the Sunday morning position. So with that, over to Bob, and again, congratulations, Vern, on the tree activity there. W6AQU, W7MS.
Very good. good, Mike. Thanks there on the audio gain. Well, yes, the band is starting to fade. However, we're still copying everybody. I hope I'm going to be able to hear Bill. He was starting to get down, but it was Q5. I don't know, Jerry, interesting on the catalog. I at one time had one of those catalogs, and I don't save them, so that's interesting. SST, well, talk about those old radios and kits, and that's something there from the past. MS, get to your Sunday morning position there. Yeah. Let's see. Richard up there. I missed yesterday morning copying that I normally, or Saturday mornings, I normally try to copy that. Get in there a few minutes before 11. I've got an ASNR here that I have just for that. What is it, 6324.5 or something? It comes in nicely here. Bill, you're going to be fading away. I don't know if I'm going to hear you next time. Comments to Vern. I have one of those slingshots. They're an arborist. That's what they're manufactured for. I have the extension on mine. So it's an 8-foot slingshot, which obviously my arms aren't that long, but if you kneel down on the ground and you have someone on the opposite side hold that slingshot, and I put a 4-ounce cannonball in that pouch, and by kneeling down I can pull that pouch down and tie to that cannonball with some 30-pound test line, and I can get that sucker up over a 90-foot tree, and hopefully that I'm not got the right angle and it will drop fairly close to the other side of the tree. So those are an interesting device to have. So glad that you did get it up there, because it does make a difference here in your signal strength from down there. For that, I will say my 73 turned over there to Richard at that point raised. This is W6A Queen Uncle in Montague. Good morning.
Thank you, Bob. W6AQU, W6AWO. Well, things are shifting and changing, as we expect about this time of day. So I will say, what a pleasure. Always fun to join the group. Looking forward to seeing you next week. It's 73 from W6AWO and heading out to breakfast. Henry, WA7YBS, W6AWO.
Okay, Richard, W6AWO, WA7YBS. Okay, surprisingly, still 100% copy, although Bob was somewhat difficult, and so was Steve somewhat difficult. I went to Exalted Carrier on the receiver, which is, just turn the BFO on and 0 beat, and it does help. On the Ray Cals, it works really great. On other receivers, that's problematic, but on the Ray Cals with the vertier adjustment on the BFO, it's really does enhance the signals that are right in the noise. So anyway, conditions are deteriorating, so it's nice to be, as Jeff says, creating your own propagation. And ZBX, a famous quote from ZBX, create your own propagation with high power, relatively high power. Anyway, thanks for all the compliments on John's W6MIT's big rig. It was a lot of fun getting it going, and I learned a lot about, that kind of transmitter. It's, it's one thing when you have the manual to read, you understand it at one level, And then when you don't have a manual and you kind of have to go through circuit analysis and look at its specs and of tubes and things like that, and you understand it on a different level, which is kind of interesting. So anyway, it was a lot of fun. And so was putting up the antenna, even though it was 100 degrees out and I had to get up on the ladder, you know, it was still, it was okay. At least I was in the shade for the most part doing it. So anyway, thanks for the compliments on the rig and the antenna. So 73 all, and we'll hear everybody next week. I'll be net control, so we'll see what happens. I will turn it over to Bill and hope that he is still copying. So N6PCT, WA7, YBS.
WA7YBS N6 Bravo Charlie Tango in Half Moon Bay, California. Yeah, thank you very much, guys. It's been fun and here this morning, and everybody is still coming in good on the KPH HDR receiver, which I'm using right now because it's kind of noisy. And on my radio, the USP100D doesn't have a AM filter installed, so it's really bad to be able to hear because it doesn't work really well. It's in the sideband, it's got the right filter in there for red, and it doesn't have a filter for CW, but I could buy one if I needed it. I don't do CW very much, so I don't do that. Anyway, so that's the story there, guys. Same case, and we'll talk to you next week. Let's go over to K6VXY. If he doesn't hear me,
okay, I think Bill just turned it over to me. This K6VXY burn. I also picked up an old 2-meter rig that I'm messing with. I had it years ago, like 40 years ago. And I got it working and been communicating with it. Now I've got to adjust the one tone on it so I can do the local repeater on it. It's got 4 big memories in it. But it's neat to see this thing again. It turns in 100 kilohertz steps and 10 kilohertz steps, and then you got to switch for 5 for the odd frequencies. So back to net control. Dave, still coming in fine. There's a lot of signals are gone. K0DWC, Chuck, it's K6VXY. Good morning, all.
Okay, Vern. K6VXY and K0DWC. Well, you still got a good signal in here, Vern. That antenna's really doing a good job. It's really cutting through the QSB. So, congratulations again on getting that up and running. You got a nice signal. Okay, guys, so let's see. This one thing. Oh, Mike, thank you for the clarification on the PRC 515. I was kind of wondering about that. You know, I know that's an older rig, you know, and I knew Collins made it, and I knew their analog tuning head was the standard, but I didn't know if somehow they had contracted, you know, a little bit later down the road to put digital heads on those or not. But now that you told me, now I understand how they got there. So thank you for that piece of information, sir. Okay. All right, guys. Well, good net this morning. There was 10 of us, and I'll go ahead and shut her down for the day. So this is K0DWC. I'll be securing the village military radio net for today, and I would like to thank everybody for their participation and invite everyone back next Sunday morning. And as Henry said, Henry will be net control next weekend. So everybody take care, try to stay cool. Don't want nobody getting a heat stroke. So just be careful out there and take it easy, and we will talk to you guys next weekend. So with that, this is K0DWC signing off. 7-3s, guys, and we'll see you down the road. 7-3.